welcome back to the Velvet Underworld channels. And after this video, I would really like to know your thoughts about these stories. Feel free to share it under the comment sections and where you come from so that we could connect to each other better through this channel. Thank you.
Anna Ferraro was 29 years old when she saved two lives and destroyed her own in the same breath. It was 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in late September, and she was sitting on a weathered bench in Riverside Park, staring at her phone screen with the kind of emptiness that comes from checking the same email inbox 17 times in 1 hour. No new messages, no callbacks, no interviews scheduled. Just the automated rejection from Mount Sinai Hospital, her sixth in 3 weeks, still glowing on the screen like a small cruel reminder that her nursing license meant nothing without someone willing to employ her. The park was busy that afternoon. Mothers pushed strollers along the winding paths. Elderly men played chess beneath the oak trees. Joggers moved past in rhythmic patterns, their breathing steady and purposeful, the breathing of people who still had routines, who still had places to be. Anna had nowhere to be. She'd been unemployed for 4 months. 4 months since the incident at Presbyterian. 4 months since she'd made the choice that cost her everything. Speaking up about a surgeon's negligence, filing the report that should have protected patients but instead marked her as a liability. Difficult. A troublemaker. The kind of nurse hospitals whispered about but never hired. The severance pay was gone. Her savings account showed $347.82. Rent was due in 6 days. She was about to close her email app, about to give up for the day, maybe for good, when she heard it. A child's scream. Not the playful kind, the kind that turns blood to ice. Anna's head snapped up. Her nursing instincts kicked in before her conscious mind could process what was happening. She was already on her feet, already scanning the park with the systematic precision of someone trained to assess emergencies in seconds. There, by the pond, two small figures, dark hair, maybe 4 or 5 years old, identical. They were too close to the edge. One of them was already in. The water. Anna didn't think, didn't hesitate, didn't stop to wonder why two small children were alone by the water or where their parents might be. She just ran. Her worn sneakers hit the pavement hard, her lungs burning as she sprinted the 100 yards between her bench and the pond's edge. She could see it now, could see the second child leaning too far over, trying to reach the first, about to fall in too. "Don't move," Anna shouted, her voice cutting through the ambient park noise with the authority of someone who'd spent years commanding emergency rooms. "Stay where you are." The second child froze. Good. One less victim. Anna reached the edge just as the first child, a little girl, went under for the second time. The pond wasn't deep, maybe 4 feet, but it was enough. Enough to drown in, enough to die in. Anna had seen children die in less. She kicked off her sneakers and dove in without breaking stride. The water was shockingly cold. September cold. The kind that steals your breath and makes your muscles seize. Anna gasped, forcing her body to move through the shock, her eyes scanning the murky water. There, a flash of pink fabric sinking fast. She reached out, her fingers closing around small arms and pulled. The child was limp, unconscious, not breathing. No, no, no. Anna hauled the little girl toward the edge, her nursing training screaming protocols even as panic clawed at her chest. The second child, a boy she could see now, identical to his sister, was crying, reaching for them. "Call 911, Anna shouted to anyone listening. "Someone call 911 now." She dragged the girl onto the grass, immediately checking for a pulse. Weak, thready, but there. The child's lips were blue, her small chest still. How long had she been under? 90 seconds? 2 minutes? Brain damage starts at 4 minutes, death at 6. Anna had maybe 90 seconds to get this right. She positioned the child's head, opened her airway, checked for obstructions. Water trickled from the small mouth. Anna turned the girl's head to the side, letting it drain, then began rescue breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check for response. Nothing. chest compressions, 30 of them. Fast, hard, precise. The little girl's chest was so small under Anna's hands, the ribs so fragile. Anna had done this 1,000 times in hospitals, on adults, on teenagers, but never on someone this young, never when it mattered this much. Come on, baby, come on. Another round of breaths, another round of compressions. The boy was sobbing now, his identical face streaked with tears, his small hand clutching at Anna's wet sleeve. Sophia, Sophia, wake up! Sophia. The drowning child's name was Sophia. She's going to be okay, Anna said, not knowing if it was true, needing it to be true. Stay back, sweetheart. Let me help her. Breathe. Compress. Breathe. Compress. Anna's arms were shaking. Her wet clothes clung to her skin. A crowd had gathered, phones out, voices overlapping in useless panic. Someone said an ambulance was coming. Someone else was recording. Anna didn't care. None of it mattered. Only the child mattered. Only Sophia. And then the little girl coughed. Water erupted from her mouth. Her body convulsed. Anna quickly turned her onto her side, supporting her small frame as she vomited pond water and mucus onto the grass. The crowd gasped. Someone cheered. The boy lunged forward, trying to reach his sister. Easy, easy. Anna held Sophia steady, monitoring her breathing, her color, her level of consciousness. You're okay. You're safe. Just breathe for me, sweetheart. Sophia's eyes fluttered open, dark eyes, confused, terrified. She looked at Anna and immediately started crying, reaching for her brother. Marco, she sobbed. I'm here. The boy, Marco, pushed past Anna to clutch his sister's hand. I'm here, Sophia. The twins held onto each other, crying, shaking, alive. Anna sat back on her heels, her own body trembling with adrenaline crash, her nursing assessment still running on autopilot, respiratory rate increasing, color returning to normal, alert and responsive. No signs of secondary drowning yet, but hospital evaluation critical within the next 4 hours. She'd done it. She'd saved her. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer, and Anna Ferraro had absolutely no idea that the 2 children she'd just saved, the 2 identical twins with dark hair and darker eyes, belonged to the most dangerous man in New York City. She had no idea that the man already racing toward Riverside Park in a bulletproof SUV, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, his heart in his throat, was Marco DeLuca, the head of the DeLuca crime family, a man whose name made politicians nervous and rivals disappear. She had no idea that in exactly 47 seconds, her life was about to change in ways she couldn't begin to imagine. She just knew she'd saved 2 children, and that, for the first time in 4 months, she'd done something that mattered. The ambulance arrived in 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Anna stayed with the twins the entire time, keeping them calm, monitoring Sophia's breathing, noting every symptom with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd spent 6 years in emergency medicine. Sophia was responsive but drowsy, a concerning sign. Marco wouldn't let go of his sister's hand, his small face pale with shock. Where are your parents? Anna asked gently, looking around the park. Surely someone was looking for them. Surely someone had noticed 2 small children wandering alone near a pond. Marco's eyes went wide, frightened. We're not supposed to say. That was odd. But Anna didn't push. The paramedics were here now, professional and quick, loading Sophia onto a gurney, checking vitals, asking Anna rapid-fire questions about the rescue. How long was she underwater? Approximately 90 seconds, maybe less. Was she conscious when you pulled her out? No. No pulse, no breathing. I administered CPR, 5 rescue breaths, 30 chest compressions, repeated twice before she responded. The lead paramedic looked at her with new respect. You a doctor? Nurse. ER nurse. Former ER nurse, but she didn't add that part. You saved her life. It wasn't a compliment. It was a statement of fact. Secondary drowning is still a risk. We need to get her to Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai, the hospital that had rejected Anna's application 2 weeks ago. I'm coming with them, Marco announced, his small voice suddenly fierce. I'm not leaving Sophia. The paramedic hesitated. Son, we need to contact your parents. I'm coming. Marco's jaw set in a way that looked far too adult for a 5-year-old. My father will meet us there. Something in the way he said father, the certainty, the weight of it, made the paramedic pause, made Anna pause too. We'll need a name, the paramedic said carefully, for the hospital records. Before Marco could answer, a voice cut through the crowd like a knife. Marco, Sophia. The crowd parted. Anna would remember that detail later, how people simply moved aside instinctively, as if making way for something dangerous. A man strode through the gap, tall and broad-shouldered, dressed in a dark suit that probably cost more than Anna's monthly rent used to be. He was maybe 35 with dark hair and darker eyes, the same eyes as the twins, and a face that would have been handsome if it wasn't currently twisted with raw, undisguised terror. 4 men in black followed him, large men, alert men, the kind of men who scanned crowds for threats. Marco saw him and burst into tears. Papa! The man, the father, dropped to his knees on the wet grass without hesitation, gathering Marco into his arms with a gentleness that contradicted everything else about him. His eyes went immediately to Sophia on the gurney, taking in her pale face, her wet clothes, the oxygen mask the paramedics were securing. What happened? It wasn't a question. It was a command. The lead paramedic straightened. Your daughter nearly drowned, Mr. De Luca. One of the men in black supplied quietly. Marco De Luca. Anna's stomach dropped. De Luca. Even she knew that name. Even someone who avoided the news, who kept her head down and minded her own business, knew that name. The De Luca family didn't run restaurants or construction companies or waste management firms. They ran New York. The real New York. The one under the surface where money moved in shadows and problems disappeared permanently. The Mafia. She'd just saved the children of a Mafia boss. Marco De Luca's eyes swept the scene with terrifying efficiency. The pond, the crowd, the paramedics, his unconscious daughter, and then landed on Anna, wet, shivering, still kneeling on the grass where she'd performed CPR. You, he said. His voice was rough, controlled. You pulled her out. It wasn't a question. Anna swallowed. Yes. You gave her CPR? Yes. You're a doctor. Nurse? Something flickered across his face. Relief, maybe? Or something harder to define. He stood, still holding Marco against his chest, and crossed the distance between them in 3 long strides. Up close, he was taller than she'd thought, broader. His cologne was expensive and subtle, cutting through the pond smell on her wet clothes. He looked at her like he was memorizing her face. What's your name? Again, not a question. Anna Ferraro. Anna Ferraro. He repeated as if committing it to memory. You saved my daughter's life. I did what anyone would. No. His voice cut her off, not harsh but absolute. You didn't. Most people would have panicked, called for help, waited. You didn't wait. You acted. You knew what to do. You saved her. Before Anna could respond, the paramedic interrupted. Mr. De Luca, we need to transport your daughter now. Time is critical. De Luca's jaw tightened, but he nodded. He looked down at Marco, still in his arms. You're going in the ambulance with your sister. Antonio will go with you. He glanced at one of the men in black, who nodded. I'll follow in the car. Understood? Yes, Papa. De Luca set his son down gently, then strode to the gurney where Sophia lay. He bent over her, pressing a kiss to her forehead, his hand cradling her small face with devastating tenderness. Papa's here, he murmured. You're safe? I'm not going anywhere. Sophia's eyes fluttered. Papa? Right here, Principessa, right here? Then he straightened, his expression hardening instantly as he turned back to the paramedics. Mount Sinai. Call ahead. I want Dr. Richardson ready. I want a private room. I want... He stopped himself, his jaw working. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, more human. Just take care of her, please. We will, sir. As the paramedics loaded the gurney into the ambulance, Marco climbing in behind them with Antonio, De Luca turned back to Anna. She was still kneeling on the grass, still shivering, her mind struggling to process what was happening. Stand up, he said quietly. Anna stood, her legs nearly buckled, adrenaline crash hitting hard. De Luca caught her elbow, steadying her. His hand was warm through her wet sleeve. You're in shock. I'm fine. You're not. He gestured to another one of the men in black. Vincent, blanket now. Vincent moved immediately, producing a wool blanket from somewhere, the car probably, and draping it around Anna's shoulders. It was soft, expensive, monogrammed with a cursive D. I don't need. You're shaking. De Luca's eyes were on hers, dark and intense and impossible to look away from. You just dove into freezing water and saved my daughter's life. You need a blanket, dry clothes, and probably a hospital evaluation yourself. I'm fine, Anna repeated, but her teeth were chattering, now, betraying her. You're coming to the hospital, De Luca said. It wasn't a request. We need your statement. The doctors will want details about the rescue and… He paused, something unreadable crossing his face. I need to know you're all right. I'm not your responsibility. You saved my children. His voice dropped, becoming something raw and dangerous and desperate all at once. That makes you my responsibility. That makes you under my protection. Do you understand? Anna stared at him. Protection. That word, coming from a man like him, meant something very different than it did in normal conversation. Before she could argue, the ambulance doors slammed shut. The siren wailed to life. De Luca's mask cracked for just a second, pure fear flashing across his features as he watched the ambulance pull away with his daughter inside. Then the mask was back, smooth and impenetrable. He looked at Anna. My car, now. Mr. De Luca? You can argue in the car, or you can argue here and waste time while my daughter is en route to the hospital without me. Your choice. Anna's nursing instincts warred with her common sense. Common sense said, don't get in a car with a mafia boss. Don't get involved. Walk away. But nursing instincts said, Sophia needs continuity of care. The hospital will need your report. Secondary drowning is a real risk. You need to see this through. And underneath both of those, something quieter. You saved her life. You can't just walk away now. Okay, Anna heard herself say. Okay, I'll come. Something in De Luca's expression softened, just slightly, just enough to make him look almost human. Thank you, he said quietly. Then he was moving, his hand still on her elbow, guiding her toward the massive black SUV parked at the edge of the park. The remaining two men in black fell into step around them. Bodyguards, Anna realized. Of course he had bodyguards. The SUV's door was already open, leather interior, tinted windows, the kind of vehicle designed to be bulletproof. What am I doing? Anna thought as she climbed inside. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I… De Luca slid in beside her. The door shut, the locks engaged with a heavy thunk. Mount Sinai, he told the driver. Fast, but don't break traffic laws. The SUV pulled smoothly into traffic, and Anna Ferraro, unemployed nurse with $347.82 in her bank account and no prospects on the horizon, sat wrapped in a monogrammed blanket beside one of the most dangerous men in New York, trying very hard not to think about how completely her life had just derailed. She still had no idea about the secret. She still had no idea that 4 years ago, in a hospital room very much like the one they were racing toward, she'd held the hand of Marco De Luca's dying wife and promised to keep a secret that would change everything. She'd forgotten that promise. The universe was about to make her remember. Mount Sinai's emergency department was chaos, as always. But when Marco De Luca walked through those doors with his daughter on a gurney, the chaos shifted, reorganized itself. Nurses who'd been triaging patients suddenly appeared to escort Sophia to a private examination room. Doctors materialized from nowhere. The hospital administrator himself showed up, shaking DeLuca's hand, assuring him that everything, would be handled with the utmost care. Anna watched it happen from the corner of the waiting room, still wrapped in the monogrammed blanket, and understood something fundamental about power. It wasn't just money, it was gravity. DeLuca didn't demand attention. He pulled it toward him like a black hole, bending everything in his orbit. "Ms. Ferraro?" A young doctor approached, Dr. Patel, according to his badge. He had kind eyes and the exhausted look of someone working a double shift. "Yes? I'm going to need your statement about the rescue. Every detail you can remember. It's crucial for Sophia's treatment." Anna spent the next 20 minutes recounting everything: the timeline, the water temperature, the child's condition, the CPR protocol she'd followed. Dr. Patel took notes, asked follow-up questions, nodded approvingly at her clinical precision. "You did everything right," he said finally. "If you'd hesitated even 30 seconds longer, well, we'd be having a very different conversation." "How is she?" "Stable, alert. No signs of secondary drowning so far. But we're keeping her for observation. 24 hours minimum." He paused. "Mr. DeLuca asked that you be examined as well. You were in that water too. Hypothermia, waterborne illness." "I'm fine." "With respect, Ms. Ferraro, you're not a good judge of that right now. Adrenaline is masking symptoms." His voice gentled. "Please, let me check your vitals. 5 minutes." Anna wanted to argue, but he was right, and she knew it. Professional to professional. "Fine, 5 minutes." Dr. Patel led her to a curtained exam area, took her temperature, slightly low, her blood pressure, elevated from stress, listened to her lungs, clear, checked her reflexes, normal. The whole time, Anna's mind was somewhere else, replaying the rescue, analyzing what she could have done better, faster, more efficiently. A nurse's mind never rests. "You're physically fine," Dr. Patel concluded, "though I'd recommend dry clothes and warm fluids, maybe a sedative if you're having trouble sleeping tonight." "I don't need a sedative." "The offer stands." He made a note on his tablet. "Mr. DeLuca also wanted me to give you this." He handed her a business card, heavy cardstock, embossed lettering. "Marco DeLuca, 212-55-0147. He said to call that number if you need anything. Medical bills, compensation for your clothing, a car service home, anything." Anna stared at the card. A direct line to a Mafia boss. Wonderful. "I don't need anything." Dr. Patel gave her a look that was equal parts sympathy and amusement. "I don't think Mr. DeLuca is someone who takes no easily." "I'm starting to realize that." After Dr. Patel left, Anna sat alone in the exam room for a long moment, holding the business card, trying to decide what to do. She should leave, should go home, take a hot shower, forget this ever happened. But she couldn't stop thinking about Sophia's small face, Marco's terrified eyes, the way they'd clung to each other in the ambulance. "They're just children," she thought. "Whatever their father is, they're just children." Anna pushed aside the curtain and made her way through the ER toward the private rooms. A nurse at the station looked up, saw her still damp clothes and determined expression, and didn't try to stop her. The power of looking like you belong. She found room 4 by following the sound of voices, a child's laughter, surprising and bright, cutting through the hospital's usual hum. The door was ajar. Anna paused outside, unsure if she should intrude. "And then, Papa, you should have seen it. The lady just jumped in the water like a superhero." Marco's voice, animated, excited. "I saw Marco." DeLuca's voice quieter, strained. "I saw. She saved Sophia. She made her breathe again." "I know. Are you going to say thank you? Mama always said we have to say thank you when someone helps us." A pause. When DeLuca spoke again, his voice was different. raw. Your mama was right. We'll say thank you. Anna's hand was on the door before she'd decided to knock. 3 soft raps. The conversation inside stopped. Come in, DeLuca called. Anna pushed the door open. The private room was more like a hotel suite than a hospital room. Wood paneling, a leather couch, actual artwork on the walls. Sophia was propped up in the bed, looking small and fragile against the white sheets but alert, her dark eyes bright. Marco sat beside her on the bed, still holding her hand. Antonio, the bodyguard, stood by the window, his presence almost invisible until you noticed him. And DeLuca sat in a chair pulled close to the bed, his jacket off, his shirt sleeves rolled up, his entire attention focused on his children. He looked up when Anna entered. Something crossed his face, relief maybe, or recognition. Anna Ferraro, he said standing. You didn't leave. I wanted to check on Sophia. Check on me? Sophia perked up, her voice still hoarse but curious. Are you a doctor? A nurse, Anna said gently, moving closer to the bed. Professional. This she knew how to do. How are you feeling, sweetheart? My throat hurts, and my chest. That's normal. You swallowed a lot of water. Your throat is irritated and your lungs are still clearing. Anna glanced at the monitors. Oxygen saturation good, heart rate stable. But you're doing great, really great. You saved me, Sophia said, her dark eyes solemn. Marco said you made my heart beat again. Your heart didn't stop, Anna corrected gently. But yes, I helped you breathe. Thank you. Sophia's small hand reached out, grasping Anna's. Her grip was surprisingly strong. Thank you for saving me. Anna's throat tightened. You're welcome, Sophia. Marco scrambled off the bed and threw his arms around Anna's waist, hugging her fiercely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Marco, DeLuca said quietly. Let Miss Ferraro breathe. But he didn't pull his son away. Didn't seem to want to. Anna looked down at the little boy clinging to her, then at the little girl watching her with those solemn dark eyes, and felt something crack open in her chest. Something that had been closed and protected for 4 months, since the day she'd lost her job, and decided that caring too much was what had destroyed her career. These children need someone who cares. A voice whispered in the back of her mind. They need someone who will protect them. She looked up and found DeLuca watching her. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes held something desperate. Ms. Ferraro, he said quietly, can we talk? Privately? Anna's stomach flipped. Yes, of course. DeLuca stood, pressing kisses to both his children's foreheads. Papa will be right outside. 5 minutes. Antonio stays with you. Understood? Yes, Papa. The twins chorused. DeLuca led Anna into the hallway, far enough from the door that the children wouldn't overhear. A nurse passed, saw DeLuca, and immediately found something to do in the opposite direction. That gravity again. That power. DeLuca turned to face her. Up close, Anna could see the exhaustion in his features, the lines around his eyes, the tension in his jaw. He looked like a man who'd aged 10 years in the past hour. I need to hire you, he said. Anna blinked. What? As a nanny, for Marco and Sophia. His voice was controlled, but there was something raw underneath. They need someone who can protect them. Someone with medical training. Someone who can... He stopped, his jaw working. Someone who will dive into freezing water without thinking twice. Mr. DeLuca, they almost died today. The words came out sharp, jagged. They were with their regular nanny, a woman I've employed for 2 years who came with impeccable references, who I trusted. And she was on her phone. On her phone, while my children wandered off toward a pond. His hands clenched into fists. If you hadn't been there. If you'd been 30 seconds slower. He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. Anna's mind was racing. Mr. DeLuca, I don't have experience as a nanny. I'm a nurse. I work in hospitals, not... You're unemployed. Anna froze. DeLuca's expression didn't change. I have your name. It took my people 20 minutes to find out everything. Anna Ferraro, 29, registered nurse, 6 years at Presbyterian Hospital, terminated 4 months ago after filing a complaint against a surgeon. Blacklisted. No interviews despite dozens of applications. He paused. Rent due in 6 days. Savings account almost empty. Cold dread washed through her. You investigated me? You saved my children's lives. Of course I investigated you. No apology. Just fact. I know you're desperate for work. I'm offering you work. As a nanny. As protection. His voice dropped, becoming something harder, more honest. I have enemies, Ms. Ferraro. Dangerous enemies. What happened today? The nanny being distracted, the children wandering off, that could have been deliberate. A setup. An opening for someone to take them. You think someone tried to kidnap your children? I think someone created an opportunity. Whether they took advantage of it or not, I don't know. But I can't take that risk again. His eyes met hers. I need someone who will watch them every second. Someone who can keep them safe in an emergency. Someone who... He stopped, something vulnerable crossing his features. Someone who will care about them. The way you did today. The way you looked at Sophia just now, like she mattered. Of course she matters. She's a child. Exactly. His voice softened. And children need someone who sees them that way. Not as a job, not as a paycheck, as children. Anna's head was spinning. This was insane. She couldn't work for a mafia boss, couldn't become part of that world, no matter how desperate she was. But her rent was due in 6 days. And Sophia's small hand grasping hers, Marco's arms around her waist. I need to think about it, she heard herself say. DeLuca nodded slowly. Fair enough. But I need an answer soon. The children will be released tomorrow afternoon. I need to know who's taking care of them. What about their mother? The question was out before Anna could stop it. Where is she? Something shuddered in DeLuca's expression. She's dead, 4 years ago. I'm sorry. So am I. He reached into his pocket, pulled out another business card, his second one. Call me. Tomorrow morning. Yes or no? If it's yes, we'll discuss salary and terms. If it's no... He paused. If it's no, I'll respect that. But my offer stands regardless. Anything you need, medical bills, compensation, a reference for other jobs, you call that number. Understood? Anna took the card, looked at it, looked back at him. Why do I get the feeling saying no to you isn't really an option? A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Because you're smart, Ms. Ferraro. And smart people understand when they're being given an opportunity that won't come twice. Before Anna could respond, the door to Sophia's room opened. Marco peeked out, his dark eyes anxious. Papa, Sophia wants you. DeLuca's entire demeanor changed instantly, the hardness melting away, replaced by pure parental concern. Coming, Marco. He looked back at Anna. Tomorrow morning. Think about it. Then he was gone, disappearing back into his daughter's room, and Anna was left standing in the hallway with 2 business cards and a decision that felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. Jump or walk away. Both choices would change her life. She just didn't know which one would destroy it. Anna didn't sleep that night. She sat in her tiny studio apartment, $400 a month for 400 square feet in Queens, with a radiator that clanked and a neighbor who played the same 3 rap songs on repeat, and stared at Marco DeLuca's business card. Her laptop was open on the coffee table. Google search results for Marco DeLuca filled the screen. Crime boss suspected in rival's disappearance. DeLuca family implicated in Port Authority investigation. Federal prosecutors target organized crime. DeLuca name surfaces. And underneath those headlines, older ones. Tragedy strikes. DeLuca family. Wife dies in childbirth. Marco DeLuca becomes guardian of orphaned twins. Crime lord retreats from public eye after wife's death. Anna clicked on that last article. A photo loaded. Marco DeLuca, 4 years. Younger, leaving a hospital. His face carved from granite. A baby carrier in each arm. The caption read, Marco DeLuca departing Mount Sinai Hospital with his newborn twins. hours after his wife's death from complications during delivery. Mount Sinai, the same hospital where Sophia was now recovering, the same hospital where Anna's breath caught 4 years ago. Twins, complicated delivery. Mount Sinai. Her mind started racing, pulling up fragments of memory. She'd been working in the ICU back then, not obstetrics, but they'd been short-staffed. She'd been pulled to help with, no? Anna closed the laptop. She was imagining things, connecting dots that didn't exist. There were hundreds of births at Mount Sinai every year. Complicated deliveries happened all the time. The chances that she'd been there, that she'd been involved, you're being paranoid. But her hands were shaking as she poured herself a glass of water. The rent notice on her refrigerator seemed to glow in the dim light. Final notice? Due. September 29th. Amount $1,400. 6 days. Anna pulled out her phone, opened her banking app. $347.82. She did the math she'd been avoiding all month. Even if she skipped meals, even if she sold everything she owned, she'd be $800 short. And then what? Another month of rent due 30 days later with no job, no prospects, no... Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Marco De Luca. I know I said tomorrow morning, but I wanted to make sure you got home safely. And to tell you Sophia is resting well. The doctors say her prognosis is excellent, thanks to your quick action. Anna stared at the text, a Mafia boss checking on her, making sure she was safe, thanking her. Also, another text appeared. I realize I didn't discuss salary, $4,000 per week, room and board included if you prefer to live in, health insurance, retirement contributions, negotiable if you want different terms. Anna's hand went numb. $4,000 per week. That was... She did the math quickly. $208,000 a year, plus room and board, plus health insurance, for being a nanny. No, her mind corrected, for being protection. Another text, I'm not trying to pressure you, but I want you to understand what I'm offering. My children's safety is worth more than any number. I will pay whatever it takes to ensure they're protected by someone I can trust. And I trust you, Anna. You proved today that you'll put their lives before your own. That's not something I can buy. That's not something I can train into someone. That's who you are. Anna's eyes burned. She blinked hard. Think about it, the final text read. Call me in the morning. Whatever you decide, I respect your choice. Anna set her phone down, walked to her tiny window, looked out at the Queens skyline, the lights of Manhattan in the distance, impossibly far away, impossibly bright. She thought about Sophia's small hand in hers, Marco's arms around her waist, the way De Luca had, looked at his children, like they were the only thing in the world that mattered. She thought about diving into freezing water without hesitation. That's who you are. Was it? Was she still that person? The nurse who spoke up, who filed reports, who put patients first even when it cost her everything? Or had 4 months of unemployment beaten that out of her? Anna picked up her phone, scrolled through her contacts until she found her old supervisor at Presbyterian, Diane Chen, the only person who'd stood by her after the incident. She hit call. It rang 4 times before Diane answered, her voice thick with sleep. Anna, do you know what time it is? I'm sorry, I know it's late. I need advice. What happened? Anna told her everything. The park, the rescue, De Luca, the job offer, all of it tumbling out in a rush. Silence on the other end. Then, holy shit. Yeah. Anna, do you understand what you're being asked to do? You'd be working for the Mafia, not just near them, not just adjacent to them, for them. I know. If the feds ever investigate him, you could be implicated, subpoenaed, charged as an accessory to God knows what. I know. And if something happens, if there's violence, if someone tries to hurt those kids, you could be in the crossfire. I know, Diane. I know. Anna's voice cracked. But I also know my rent is due in 6 days, and I have $300 to my name, and no one will hire me because I made the mistake of caring more about a patient's safety than a surgeon's ego. Another silence. "You're going to take it," Diane said quietly. "Aren't you?" "I don't know. Maybe. Probably." Anna laughed, a bitter sound. "I just... Those kids, Diane. You should have seen them. So scared, so small. And their father is a criminal. Is a father who loves his children." Anna swallowed. "Does that make me naive?" "It makes you the same nurse who reported Dr. Hansen even though you knew it would cost you your job. The nurse who always puts the patient first no matter what." Diane's voice softened. "Those kids are patients, Anna. Vulnerable, at risk. If you take this job, you won't just be a nanny. You'll be their protector, their advocate, maybe the only person in their lives who isn't afraid of their father's power. So you think I should do it?" "I think you already know what you're going to do. You just want permission to do it." A pause. "So here it is. Whatever you decide, I support you. You're a good nurse, Anna. One of the best I've ever worked with. If those kids need someone like you, maybe you need them too." Anna closed her eyes. "Thank you. Just be careful. Please, I don't want to lose you." "You won't." After they hung up, Anna sat in the darkness for a long time. Then she picked up Marco De Luca's business card. And she made her decision. The De Luca estate was not what Anna expected. She'd imagined something ostentatious. Marble columns, gold, fixtures, the kind of gaudy wealth that screamed nouveau riche criminal. But as the car De Luca had sent for her, a sleek Mercedes with a polite driver named Thomas, pulled through the gates of a property in Westchester County, what she saw was elegant. Old money, elegant. The house was a sprawling colonial revival, probably built in the 1920s, with ivy creeping up limestone walls and mature oak trees shading a circular driveway. Gardens stretched to either side, not ostentatious, just beautifully maintained. A fountain bubbled quietly near the entrance. It looked like a home, not a fortress, though Anna noticed the security cameras hidden among the ivy, the reinforced gate, the way the property was positioned to have clear sightlines in every direction. A fortress disguised as a home, then. Thomas opened her door. "Ms. Ferraro, welcome. Mr. De Luca is expecting you." Anna stepped out, clutching her single suitcase. Everything she owned fit in one bag. A depressing thought. And tried to look more confident than she felt. The front door opened before she reached it. Marco and Sophia came barreling out, both talking at once. "Anna, you came. Papa said you were coming to live with us. Are you really going to be our nanny? Can we show you our rooms? Do you like dinosaurs? I like dinosaurs. Sophia likes unicorns, but I think dinosaurs are better. Unicorns are prettier. Dinosaurs are cooler. Marco, Sophia." De Luca's voice cut through the chaos, firm but not harsh. He appeared in the doorway, dressed more casually than yesterday. Dark jeans, a white button-down with the sleeves rolled up. He looked younger, somehow. Less intimidating. Let Miss Ferraro catch her breath. She just got here. The twins immediately quieted, but their dark eyes stayed fixed on Anna, bright with excitement. De Luca walked down the steps to meet her. "Anna, thank you for coming. Thank you for the car. And for..." She gestured vaguely at the house. "All of this. We agreed on terms. I'm a man of my word." His eyes searched her face. "How are you feeling? Any after effects from yesterday?" "I'm fine." "No nightmares? No intrusive thoughts about the rescue?" Anna blinked. She hadn't expected him to ask that. Hadn't expected him to even think about psychological after effects. "Some," she admitted, "but I'm okay." He nodded slowly. "If that changes, let me know. I have resources. Therapists who work with first responders. If you need to talk to someone." Before Anna could respond, Sophia tugged on her hand. "Can we show you the house now, please?" Anna looked at De Luca. He smiled. A real smile, small and genuine. "Go ahead. I'll have Thomas bring your bag to your room." The twins dragged Anna inside, talking over each other, pointing out everything. And this is the living room, but we're not allowed to run in here because Papa says the furniture is antique. Antique, Sophia corrected primly. But we can play in the den, and that's where the big TV is, and Papa lets us watch movies on Friday nights. And this is the kitchen, and Maria makes the best cookies. She's the cook, and she's really nice. And this is the library, and Papa reads to us every night before bed. The house was beautiful. High ceilings, original hardwood floors, art that actually looked like art, not just expensive decoration. But more than that, it felt lived in. Children's drawings were magnetized to the refrigerator. Toys were tucked into a basket in the den. A half-finished puzzle sat on the coffee table. A home where children were loved and welcomed. The twins led her upstairs, down a hallway lined with family photos. Anna's steps slowed as she looked at them. Marco and Sophia as babies, as toddlers. Their first birthday, their second, their third. DeLuca was in every photo, holding them, playing with them, his smile genuine and unguarded. But in every photo there was someone missing. The mother. No pictures of her. Not a single one on these walls. "This is your room," Sophia announced, pushing open a door at the end of the hall. The bedroom was spacious and bright, with large windows overlooking the gardens, a four-poster bed, a writing desk, an attached bathroom. Anna's suitcase was already sitting on the luggage rack. "It used to be the guest room," Marco explained, "but Papa said it's yours now. He said you need your own space because taking care of us is hard work." "He said that?" Anna asked, amused. "Papa says being honest is important," Sophia said seriously. "So we should tell you the truth. We can be difficult sometimes, but we'll try to be good. We promise." Anna's heart clenched. "I'm sure you're wonderful." "Will you stay?" Marco asked suddenly, his dark eyes, so much like his father's, anxious. "Will you really stay and take care of us?" "For how long?" Sophia added. Anna crouched down to their level. "For as long as you need me." "A promise?" She should have hesitated, should have qualified it, should have protected herself from making a promise she might not be able to keep. But looking at their hopeful faces, remembering how it felt to pull Sophia from the water, to hold Marco as he cried for his sister. "Promise," Anna said. The twins threw their arms around her and Anna held them close and tried not to think about what she was really promising. Not just to be their nanny, to be their protector, to put her body between them and danger, just like she had at the pond. To care about them, even though caring was what had cost her everything before. The first week was an adjustment. Anna quickly learned that caring for Marco and Sophia was nothing like nursing. There were no protocols for bedtime negotiations, no medical journals explaining how to referee arguments about whose turn it was to choose the movie. No training for the specific challenge of getting a 5-year-old to eat vegetables when said. 5-year-old had memorized every logical fallacy and could debate like a tiny attorney. "Broccoli has nutrients your body needs," Anna tried on the third night. "So does ice cream," Marco countered. "Calcium. Papa told us milk has calcium and ice cream is made from milk, so technically—" "Marco." DeLuca's voice cut in from the doorway. "Eat your broccoli." Marco ate his broccoli. Anna shot DeLuca a grateful look. He just smiled and took his seat at the head of the table. Dinners were family affairs, all 4 of them together at 6 p.m. sharp. No phones, no work, no interruptions. It was one of DeLuca's rules. Anna had learned his rules quickly. 1. Family dinner every night. 2. Bedtime stories, no exceptions. 3. No lying, ever. 4. Sundays are for the children. No work, no meetings, no business. 5. School comes first, even before family business. 6. The twins are never left alone. Never. That last rule, the one Anna enforced every waking moment, was the most important and the most revealing. Because DeLuca wasn't paranoid without reason. On her 4th day, Anna noticed the pattern. Every time they left the estate, 2 black SUVs followed them. When they went to the park, a different park, With better sight lines and security, Antonio was always there, subtle but watchful. When they visited the library, another guard named Vincent browsed the stacks nearby. "Do they always follow us?" Anna asked DeLuca that evening, after the twins were asleep. They were in his study, a comfortable room with leather chairs and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. He'd called her in to discuss the children's schedule, but the conversation had drifted into other territory. "Yes," he said simply, "always. Because of kidnapping risk. Among other things." He poured himself 2 fingers of scotch, raised the bottle toward her in question. Anna shook her head. He settled into his chair. "I have enemies, Anna, powerful enemies. They know the fastest way to hurt me is through Marco and Sophia. So yes, we take precautions, sometimes excessive precautions. Does that scare you? Knowing they're in danger just because of who you are?" DeLuca's jaw tightened. Every single day. The honesty surprised her. "Then why—" She stopped, unsure how to phrase it delicately. "Why don't I leave this life, get out, go legitimate?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "It's not that simple. I inherited this family, Anna. My father built it. My grandfather before him. There are people who depend on me. Hundreds of them. Families. Legitimate businesses that would collapse if I walked away. And the illegitimate ones." He took a slow sip of scotch. "If I leave a power vacuum, someone else fills it. Someone worse. Someone who won't have the restraint I do." "Restraint," Anna repeated carefully. "I don't traffic in drugs. I don't allow prostitution or human trafficking under my protection. I don't target civilians or children." His eyes met hers. "There are rules, even in my world. Lines I won't cross. Not everyone has those lines." "So you're a criminal with ethics?" "I'm a father who's trying to give his children a life that's better than the one I had." His voice roughened. "I'm trying to make sure they have choices I never did. That's why they go to private school instead of being homeschooled. Why they have play dates with normal kids. Why I hired you instead of—" He stopped. "Instead of what?" "Instead of someone from one of the families. Someone whose loyalty is purchased, not earned." He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his eyes intense. "You dove into freezing water for children you'd never met. You didn't think about payment or obligation or what you'd get out of it. You just acted. That's who I need protecting my children, Anna. Someone who will act when it matters." Anna's throat felt tight. "You put a lot of faith in one moment. I put faith in character, and that moment showed me yours." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of that statement hanging between them. Finally, Anna said, "Tell me about their mother." DeLuca's entire body went still. "I see her absence everywhere," Anna continued quietly. "No photos on the walls. No one mentions her name. The twins never talk about her. It's like she's been erased." "She hasn't been erased." DeLuca's voice was rough. "She's been protected." Protected from what? From being used against them. He stood abruptly, walking to the window, his back to her. "Isabella." Her name was Isabella. She was— His voice caught. "She was everything good in my life. The only purely good thing I'd ever had. She knew what I was, what I did, and she loved me anyway. She believed I could be better. And when she got pregnant—" He laughed, a broken sound. "Twins. We were having twins. She was so happy I was terrified." "Why terrified?" "Because I knew what bringing children into this world, my world, meant. The danger, the compromises, the constant fear." He turned back to face her, and Anna saw raw pain in his features. "I tried to convince her to leave, to take the children somewhere safe, somewhere far from New York, where they could grow up normal. But she refused. She said we'd face it together. That love was stronger than fear." "What happened?" "Complications during delivery. The twins were premature, 34 weeks. Something went wrong. The doctors tried everything, but—" He stopped, his hand clenching into a fist. "She hemorrhaged. They couldn't stop it. She died 6 hours after the twins were born." I'm so sorry. I never even got to. His voice cracked. She never got to hold them. She was unconscious by the time they were delivered. She never knew if they were boys or girls, never heard their voices, never. He cut himself off, turning away. Anna wanted to go to him, wanted to offer comfort, but something held her back. The sense that he needed space, needed the privacy of his grief. I don't keep photos on the walls, DeLuca said quietly, because I can't bear to see them sometimes, can't bear the reminder of what I lost, but I keep them. In my room, in my office, places the children won't accidentally find them and ask questions I don't know how to answer. They should know about her, Anna said gently. They should know their mother loved them. How do I tell them that? How do I explain that their mother died bringing them into the world without making them feel guilty for existing? By telling them the truth, that she wanted them, that she fought for them, that she chose them. Every single day she carried them. DeLuca was quiet for a long moment. Maybe, he said finally, when they're older, when they can understand. Anna wanted to push, wanted to insist that the twins needed their mother's memory now, not later, but she recognized the look on his face, the look of a man holding himself together by sheer force of will who would shatter if pushed too hard, so she let it go, for now. 3 weeks into Anna's employment, Sophia got sick. Nothing serious, just a cold, the kind children get constantly when they're in school. But Sophia ran fevers hard, her temperature spiking to 103.2 despite Tylenol, her small body shaking with chills one moment and burning up the next. DeLuca was in Boston on business, something he couldn't reschedule, though Anna had heard him on the phone at midnight the night before, his voice tight with frustration as he tried to find a way out of the trip. I'll be back by tomorrow afternoon, he'd told Anna. Call me if anything changes, anything. Now it was 2 a.m. and Anna sat in Sophia's room, pressing a cool cloth to the little girl's forehead, monitoring her temperature, watching for signs of seizure or dehydration, or any of the dozen complications that could turn a simple cold into an emergency. Marco was asleep in the next room. Anna had checked on him twice. Sophia stirred, her eyes fluttering open. Anna? I'm here, sweetheart. I don't feel good. I know. But you're going to be okay. Anna checked the thermometer. 102.8. Dropping. Good. Can you drink some water for me? Sophia managed a few sips, then curled back into her pillow, clutching the stuffed rabbit that never left her side. Will you stay? Of course. Until I fall asleep? Until you fall asleep. Anna smoothed the dark hair back from Sophia's forehead, the gesture automatic and tender. Anna? Sophia's voice was drowsy. Do you think my mama would have stayed with me when I was sick? Anna's hand stilled. It was the first time either twin had mentioned their mother directly, the first time they'd acknowledged her existence out loud. I think, Anna said carefully, your mama would have done exactly what I'm doing right now. She would have stayed right here, all night if necessary, making sure you were safe and comfortable. How do you know? Because that's what mothers do. They take care of their children no matter what. But she died before she could take care of us. She took care of you the only way she could, Anna said quietly. She carried you safely for as long as she could. She made sure you were born healthy and strong. And she made sure you had a father who loves you more than anything in the world. Sophia was quiet for a moment. Then, Papa doesn't talk about her. That's because it makes him sad. Sometimes when we love someone very much and they're gone, talking about them hurts. Does he think we'll be sad too? Maybe. Or maybe he's trying to protect you from being sad. Sophia considered this. I don't think it works. I'm sad anyway, because I don't know anything about her. Anna's heart clenched. What do you want to know? What did she look like? Did she have dark hair like me and Marco? Did she like to read? Did she? Sophia's voice caught. Did she want us? Before she died? Did she want us? Oh, sweetheart. Anna pulled Sophia into her arms, holding her close. Of course she wanted you. More than anything? How do you know? And there it was, the question Anna couldn't answer without revealing more than she should, more than she was ready to reveal. But looking at Sophia's small, sad face, "Because I met her," Anna heard herself say, "4 years ago, at the hospital where you were born." Sophia's eyes went wide. "You knew my mama?" Yes. I was one of the nurses in the ICU. I helped take care of her." It wasn't the whole truth, but it was enough truth to matter. What was she like? Anna closed her eyes, remembering. She was beautiful, kind. Even when she was very sick, she smiled at everyone who came to help her. She had this laugh that made everyone around her feel lighter. And she talked about you and Marco constantly. She did? All the time. She was so excited to meet you. She'd chosen names for you already, Sophia and Marco. She decorated a nursery. She had plans for your first birthday, your first Christmas. All of it. Anna's voice roughened. She loved you both so much, even before you were born, even when loving you cost her everything. Sophia was crying now, quiet tears streaming down her flushed cheeks. I wish I could have met her. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. They sat like that for a long time, Anna holding Sophia, rocking her gently, until the little girl's breathing evened out into sleep. And Anna sat there in the darkness, holding a child who wasn't hers, and remembered. 4 years ago, Mount Sinai Hospital, 2 a.m., Anna had been pulled from the surgical ICU to help with an emergency in the maternity ward. A patient was crashing, severe hemorrhaging after an emergency C-section. The twins had been delivered, both babies stable and in the NICU, but the mother was dying. Her name was Isabella De Luca. Anna didn't know who she was, didn't know her husband's name, or what he did, or why there were so many security guards outside the room. She just knew this woman was 28 years old, had just given birth to twins, and was bleeding to death despite everything the doctors were doing. We're losing her, Dr. Richardson said, his voice tight. Someone get her husband, now. But Isabella's eyes had found Anna, had focused on her with desperate clarity. Please, she whispered, please don't let them. Anna moved to her side immediately, taking her hand. It's okay. You're okay. We're taking care of you. My babies. They're safe. Both of them. Healthy and beautiful. I need... Isabella's grip tightened. I need to tell you. Save your strength. Please. Blood on her lips now. Please, I need someone to know. Dr. Richardson was shouting orders. Nurses were moving with controlled panic. The machines were screaming alarms. But Anna stayed right there, holding Isabella's hand, listening. Tell me, she said quietly. I'm listening. My children, Isabella whispered. When they're 5, when they're old enough to understand, tell them I loved them. Tell them I fought for them. Tell them, she coughed weakly. Tell them their father is a good man. He'll do terrible things sometimes, but he's doing them to protect them. And when they're old enough, when they turn 5, tell them... She'd pressed something into Anna's hand, an envelope, sealed, for Marco, my husband. When the twins turn 5, her eyes were dimming now. Promise me you'll... I promise, Anna said, not knowing what she was promising, just knowing this woman needed to hear it. I promise. Isabella had smiled, actually smiled. Thank you. And then her heart had stopped. Present day, Sophia's room. Anna sat in the darkness, Sophia asleep in her arms, and felt the weight of that promise like a physical thing she'd forgotten. In the chaos that followed, Dr. Richardson calling time of death, Marco De Luca arriving 30 seconds too late, his anguished cry echoing through the ICU. Anna had slipped the envelope into her pocket and then... forgotten. She'd been pulled back to her own floor, her own patients, her own crises. And somewhere in the shuffle, the envelope had ended up in a box in her closet, mixed in with old papers and nursing journals. She'd never delivered it. And now she was living in Marco De Luca's house, taking care of Isabella's children, and the twins were about to turn 5 in 3 weeks. Anna looked down at Sophia's sleeping face. What am I going to do? Tell DeLuca the truth? Admit she'd known his wife, made a promise she'd forgotten, had been carrying a message from his dead wife for 4 years? Or stay silent? Pretend she'd never been there, never made that promise, never held Isabella's hand as she died? Both options felt impossible. Both options felt like betrayal. Anna carefully laid Sophia back in her bed, tucked the blankets around her small form, and went to her own room. She pulled out her phone. It took her 20 minutes to find the box in her closet back at her Queens apartment. She'd been storing things there, paying $200 a month for a storage unit even though she couldn't afford it, because she couldn't bear to let go of everything from her old life. The envelope was still there, still sealed. Isabella DeLuca's handwriting on the front, for Marco, when our children turned 5. Anna sat on the floor of her bedroom in the DeLuca estate, holding an envelope from a dead woman, and finally understood what she'd gotten herself into. This wasn't just a job. This was a promise 4 years overdue. And in 3 weeks, when the twins turned 5, she'd have to decide, keep the promise and shatter Marco DeLuca's carefully constructed world, or break it and live with the guilt forever. The envelope haunted Anna for the next 2 weeks. She couldn't focus, couldn't sleep. Every time she looked at DeLuca, at the way he smiled at his children, the way he read them bedtime stories, the way he'd built his entire life around protecting them from the very world he inhabited, she felt the weight of that secret pressing down on her chest. She should tell him. She knew she should tell him. But how? How do you tell a man that you met his wife as she was dying, that you made a promise you forgot, that you've been living in his house for a month, caring for his children, and never mentioned you were there the night his world ended? It would destroy whatever trust he'd placed in her, and worse, whatever was growing between them, because something was growing. Anna couldn't deny it anymore. It was in the small moments, the way DeLuca's eyes sought her out across the dinner table, the way he'd started asking her opinion on things beyond the children's care, business ethics, investment decisions, whether to accept a charitable board position, the way he laughed at her dry observations about the absurdity of bedtime negotiations, the way he'd touched her hand last week, just briefly, when she'd successfully negotiated a peace treaty between the twins over a disputed toy. "You're a natural," he'd said quietly, "with them." "They make it easy," she'd replied, very aware of his fingers still resting against hers. "They trust you. They trust you in a way they've never trusted anyone except me. That's your doing. You raised them to be open and loving." No. His eyes had been dark, intense. "That's you, Anna. You make people feel safe. You make them feel safe. You make—" He'd stopped, withdrawn his hand. "Thank you. For everything you've done for them." He'd left before she could respond, and Anna had stood there, her hand still warm from his touch, and known she was in dangerous territory. You couldn't fall for your employer, especially not when that employer was a mafia boss, especially not when you were keeping a secret that could destroy everything. But knowing that and stopping it were two very different things. The twins' 5th birthday was on a Saturday. DeLuca had planned an elaborate party, rented out an entire section of the Central Park Zoo, hired entertainers, invited every child from their kindergarten class, plus what seemed like half of Manhattan. It was excessive and wonderful, and Marco and Sophia were radiating pure joy. Anna stood at the edge of the festivities, watching DeLuca swing Marco up onto his shoulders while Sophia rode a pony led by a very patient handler, and felt something crack open in her chest. This is what Isabella wanted, she thought, this joy, this love, this life for her children. And then, I have to tell him. Today, after the party, her decision was made. The party wound down around 7 p.m. The twins were exhausted, running on sugar and adrenaline, but still protesting when DeLuca announced it was time to head home. "But Papa, we didn't even finish?" "Tomorrow," he said firmly. "We'll come back tomorrow and see all the animals. Again. Tonight it's bath and bed." Will Anna read to us? Sophia asked, reaching for Anna's hand. If she's willing, DeLuca said, glancing at her. Of course, Anna said, her voice steadier than she felt. Back at the estate, the twins' energy finally crashed. They fell asleep halfway through the bedtime story, curled together in Sophia's bed, still wearing their party crowns. Anna stood in the doorway, watching them sleep, and felt her resolve crystallize. Tonight. She had to tell him tonight. She found DeLuca in his study, working through paperwork despite the late hour. He looked up when she knocked, his expression softening. They asleep? Out cold. It was a beautiful party. They deserved it. He set down his pen. 5 years old. I can't believe it's been 5 years since... He stopped, the way he always did when the topic veered too close to Isabella. Marco, Anna said quietly, can we talk? Something in her tone made him straighten. Of course. What's wrong? I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you weeks ago. She stepped into the room, closing the door behind her. And I need you to listen without interrupting, because if you interrupt, I might lose my nerve. His expression shifted to concern. Anna. 4 years ago, she began, her voice shaking slightly. I was working in the ICU at Mount Sinai. On the night of September 15th, I was pulled to help with an emergency in the maternity ward. DeLuca went very still. Your wife? Anna continued. Isabella. She was hemorrhaging after the C-section. The doctors were doing everything they could, but... She swallowed. I was there, Marco. I was in the room when she died. The color drained from his face. I didn't know who you were, didn't know what you did or who your family was. I just knew she was 28 years old and dying, and she needed someone to hold her hand. Anna's eyes burned. So I did. I held her hand, and I listened to her. And she made me promise something? What? His voice was barely a whisper. She asked me to give you a message. When the twins turned 5, she said they'd be old enough to understand then. Anna pulled the envelope from her pocket. She'd been carrying it for days, waiting for this moment. She gave me this. For you. She held it out. DeLuca stared at it like it was a bomb. You... His voice broke. You had this for 4 years and never... I forgot, Anna said, tears streaming down her face now. I know that sounds impossible, but there was so much chaos that night. And then I was pulled back to my floor, and the envelope ended up in a box, and I forgot. Until I came here. Until I realized who you were, who the twins were. And then I remembered, and I didn't know how to tell you without... Get out. Marco? Get out of my house. His voice was ice. Now. Please just let me explain. You've been living here for weeks. Weeks. Taking care of my children. Earning their trust. Earning my trust. And the entire time you've been sitting on this, on the last words from my wife. His hands were shaking. Did you read it? Did you open it? No. Of course not. It's sealed. I would never... I don't believe you. I don't believe anything you say right now. He stood, towering over her, rage and grief warring in his features. You lied to me. By omission. But you still lied. I'm sorry? You're sorry. He laughed, a broken sound. You were there. You were there when she died? When I was too late? When I couldn't... His voice cracked. And you never thought to tell me? Never thought I deserved to know that someone held her hand? That she wasn't alone? I wanted to tell you. I tried. I want you out of this house by tomorrow morning. His voice had gone cold. I'll pay you through the end of the month. I'll provide references if you need them. But I can't. I can't look at you right now. The children will be fine. I'll hire someone else. Someone who doesn't keep secrets. Anna stood there, the envelope still in her hand, tears blurring her vision. I'm sorry, she whispered again. I'm so sorry. DeLuca turned away from her. Leave the envelope on my desk and go. Anna set it down with trembling hands. And then she left. She packed her single suitcase in numb silence, called a car service, wrote a note for the twins, because she couldn't leave without saying goodbye, even if she couldn't say it to their faces. Marco and Sophia, I have to go away for a while, but I want you to know, you are the bravest, kindest, most wonderful children I've ever known. Your mother would be so proud of you. Your father loves you more than anything in the world, and I will never forget you. Love, Anna. She left it on their playroom table, and then she walked out of the DeLuca estate into the cold October night and tried to figure out how she'd managed to lose everything all over again. She didn't know that Marco DeLuca sat in his study until dawn, staring at the sealed envelope, unable to open it. She didn't know that when the twins woke up and found her gone, Sophia cried so hard she made herself sick. She didn't know that Marco, the boy, not the man, looked at his father with betrayal in his dark eyes and said, "You made Anna leave. You made her leave just like Mama left." And she didn't know that those words broke something fundamental in Marco DeLuca, something that wouldn't be fixed by rage or pride or stubbornness, something that could only be fixed by the truth. For 3 days, the envelope sat on Marco DeLuca's desk, unopened. He'd stare at it for hours, pick it up, set it down, pour himself scotch and consider burning it, consider ripping it open, consider what his wife might have written in her final moments, what message she'd saved for this moment when their children turned 5. But every time his fingers touched the seal, he'd remember Anna's tear-streaked face, the way she'd said, "I forgot," like it was the worst crime imaginable. And maybe it was. Or maybe he'd been too harsh, too quick to rage instead of listening. The children certainly thought so. Sophia had barely eaten in 3 days. Marco had grown sullen and quiet, answering questions in monosyllables, his usual bright curiosity extinguished. Neither of them would look at their father without accusation in their eyes. "When is Anna coming back?" Sophia asked every morning. "She's not," DeLuca would answer. "Why not?" "Because I fired her. Because she kept a secret. Because looking at her reminded me of the night I lost everything." But he couldn't say any of that to a 5-year-old. "She had to leave," he'd say instead, and Sophia would cry and Marco would glare and DeLuca would hate himself a little more. On the 4th day, Antonio found him in the study at 2 a.m., the envelope finally open, Isabella's letter spread across the desk. "Boss?" Antonio's voice was careful. "Everything all right?" DeLuca didn't answer, couldn't answer. He was reading the letter for the 3rd time, his wife's handwriting blurring through tears. "My darling Marco, if you're reading this, our children are 5 years old. 5 whole years you've loved them, protected them, given them everything I couldn't. 5 years you've been both mother and father to them. 5 years you've been strong. I'm writing this because I know you, my love. I know you'll have blamed yourself for my death. I know you'll have carried that guilt like a stone around your neck. I know you'll have poured everything into our children to compensate for what you think you failed to do. So I need you to hear this. You didn't fail me. You didn't fail them. What happened was not your fault. The doctors told me the risks, told me I might not survive the delivery, and I chose to carry them anyway because the thought of not bringing them into this world, of not giving them life, was unbearable. I chose them, Marco, just like I chose you. But now our children are 5, and they need to know about me, not the sanitized version, not the perfect memory you've probably created in your head. The real me, messy, imperfect, human. Tell them about the time I burned dinner so badly we had to eat on the patio because the smoke alarms wouldn't stop. Tell them about the stray cat I insisted on rescuing that turned out to be feral and scratched up all our furniture. Tell them how I ugly cried at every rom-com and always stole your French fries even when I ordered my own. Tell them I was afraid sometimes, that I worried I wouldn't be a good mother, that I questioned whether bringing children into your world, our world, was fair to them. But mostly tell them I loved them, fiercely, completely, from the moment I knew they existed. And Marco, my fierce, protective, impossibly stubborn love, I need you to do something else. I need you to let yourself be happy again. I know you think you don't deserve it. I know you think loving someone else would be betraying me. But Marco, I'm gone. I'm not coming back. And our children need a father who remembers how to smile without it being an act, who remembers that life is meant to be lived, not just survived. Find someone who makes you laugh, someone who challenges you, someone who sees past the armor you wear and loves the man underneath. Find someone who will love our children the way they deserve to be loved. And when you do, when you meet her, don't let your guilt or your fear or your stubborn pride push her away. Because I promise you, Marco, wherever I am, I'm not watching to make sure you stay alone. I'm watching to make sure you're happy. Let yourself be happy, please. All my love, Isabella P.S. The nurse who gives you this letter is special. I can feel it. If she's the one delivering this 4 years later, if she remembered when our children turned 5, if she cared enough to track you down and keep this promise, hold on to her. She's one of the good ones. DeLuca's hands were shaking as he set the letter down. The nurse who gives you this letter is special. Anna had held Isabella's hand, had listened to her final words, had made a promise and, despite forgetting it for 4 years, had ultimately kept it, had tracked him down, not for money or status or anything except honoring a dying woman's wish. And he'd thrown her out. Boss, Antonio said quietly. The kids asked about Ms. Ferraro again today. Said they want to write her a letter. Did they? Sophia wants to know if Ms. Ferraro is mad at her. Marco wants to know if you fired her because of something they did. Antonio paused. They're hurting, boss. And so are you. Maybe it's time to stop punishing everyone for a mistake that was honest. DeLuca looked up sharply. Honest? She lied. She forgot, Antonio corrected. There's a difference. She didn't deliberately keep the letter from you. She didn't know who you were when she promised your wife. She was just a nurse doing her job, and then life happened, and she forgot. Is that really unforgivable? DeLuca wanted to say yes, wanted to hold on to his anger because anger was safer than the alternative. But Isabella's words echoed in his mind. Don't let your guilt, or your fear, or your stubborn pride push her away. Where is she? He asked quietly. Back in her apartment in Queens. Vincent's been keeping an eye on her, discreetly. She's fine. Working as a home health aide for an elderly woman. Making enough to cover rent, barely. She didn't use me for references. No, boss, she didn't. DeLuca sat back in his chair, Isabella's letter still clutched in his hand. Let yourself be happy. The problem was he'd started to feel something like happiness over the past month. Dinners with Anna and the children, conversations in his study that went too late, the way she'd looked at him when he made her laugh, the way his heart had started beating faster whenever she walked into a room, the way he'd started imagining a future that wasn't just him and the twins, a future that included her. And then she'd drop the bomb about the letter, and his fear, his absolute terror that he might care about someone again and lose them again, had made him lash out, had made him push away the very thing Isabella was telling him to hold on to. DeLuca looked at Antonio. Call her. Boss? Call Anna. Tell her. He stopped. No, I'll call her myself. I need to apologize. I need to... He looked down at the letter. I need to stop being an idiot. Antonio smiled, just slightly. About damn time, boss. Anna's phone rang at 2:47 a.m. She'd been awake anyway, staring at the ceiling of her tiny apartment, trying to figure out how she'd managed to care so much about 2 children she'd known for only a month, trying not to think about Marco DeLuca's rage or the way Sophia had cried when she'd explained Anna was leaving, or the betrayal in young Marco's eyes. The number on her screen was unknown. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Anna? DeLuca's voice, rough, tired. Don't hang up, please. Her breath caught. I wasn't going to. I read the letter. Silence stretched between them. And? She finally whispered. And I'm an idiot. A stubborn, prideful idiot who took his grief and fear out on the wrong person. He took a shaky breath. You kept a promise to my dying wife. You held her hand when I couldn't. You made her last moments less alone. And instead of thanking you, I threw you out of my house. Marco? I'm sorry, Anna, I'm so sorry. Tears were streaming down her face now. I should have told you sooner. I should have remembered sooner. I should have. You're human. Humans forget things, especially during trauma. You didn't owe me that memory. His voice roughened. But you gave it to me, anyway. You kept your promise, even though it cost you everything. Even though you knew I might react exactly the way I did. I had to. She asked me to. I know, and that. He stopped. When he spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. That's exactly the kind of person Isabella would have trusted. The kind of person who keeps promises, even the hard ones. Even the ones that hurt. Anna's throat was too tight to speak. The children miss you. DeLuca continued. Sophia's barely eating. Marco won't talk to me. They wrote you letters. They did. 7 letters, in 4 days. A pause. And I miss you too, Anna. I miss talking to you. I miss seeing you with them. I miss. He cut himself off. What? She whispered. I miss the way you make this house feel like a home instead of just a place we live. I miss the way you challenge me. The way you make me want to be better. His voice dropped even lower. I miss you. And I know I have no right to ask this after what I did, but yes, you didn't let me finish. You're going to ask me to come back. And my answer is yes. A sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. Just like that. Those children need me. And I. Her voice cracked. I need them too. So yes, just like that. There are conditions, he said. No more secrets. We tell each other everything, even the hard things. Agreed? Agreed. And I want to take you to dinner. Somewhere nice. Somewhere that isn't my house or near my children. He paused. A date, Anna. I want to take you on a date. Her heart stopped. Marco. Isabella's letter. She told me to find someone who makes me happy. Someone who will love our children the way they deserve. Someone who sees past the armor. His voice was raw with honesty. I think she knew, Anna. 4 years ago when she asked you to deliver that letter. I think she knew it would bring you back into our lives. Into mine. That's impossible, I know. But I've learned that sometimes the impossible happens anyway. He took a breath. So, a date. Will you say yes? Anna was crying again, but this time they were different tears. Yes, she whispered. Yes to dinner. Yes to coming back. Yes to all of it. Thank God. The relief in his voice was palpable. Can I send a car for you? Tomorrow morning. The children, they need to see you. I'll be ready. Anna? Yes. Thank you. For keeping your promise. For coming into our lives. For, his voice caught. For giving me permission to be happy again. That wasn't me. That was Isabella. No, he said quietly. That was both of you. The twins ambushed Anna the moment she walked through the door. Sophia hit her first, launching herself into Anna's arms with enough force to make them both stumble. Marco was right behind, wrapping his arms around both of them, all 3 of them tangled in a sobbing, laughing, impossibly tight embrace. You came back. We thought you were gone forever. Papa said you'd come back, but I didn't believe him. We missed you so much. I'm here, Anna said, her own voice thick with tears. I'm here, and I'm not leaving again. I promise. Promise, promise? Sophia asked, her dark eyes anxious. Promise, promise. Marco pulled back just enough to look at her seriously. Papa said he was mean to you, that he made a mistake. Anna glanced up. DeLuca stood in the doorway to the living room, watching them with an expression of such raw vulnerability it made her chest ache. He did, Anna said honestly, and I made mistakes too. But we talked about it, and we're going to do better. Are you going to stay forever now? Sophia asked. Anna looked at DeLuca again, saw something desperate and hopeful in his eyes. For as long as you need me. We'll always need you, Marco said seriously. Right, Papa? Right, DeLuca said quietly. Always. That night, after the twins were asleep, After bedtime stories and reassurances and promises that Anna wasn't disappearing again, DeLuca found her in the kitchen, making tea. "They're out cold," he said. "Haven't seen them sleep that soundly in days." They were worried. They weren't the only ones. He moved into the kitchen, keeping a careful distance. "I meant what I said. About dinner. About everything." "So did I. There are things you should know first. About me. About my life." He leaned against the counter. "I told you I have enemies. I told you I do things that aren't legal, but I haven't been entirely honest about the extent of it." "Marco, no secrets, remember?" His eyes were steady on hers. "I run most of the port operations in New York, legitimate and otherwise. I have connections to unions, politicians, judges. I've ordered people hurt, not killed. I have lines I won't cross, but hurt, badly. I've made deals that put me in rooms with people who would kill you without blinking if it served their purposes." Anna set down her tea. "Why? Are you telling me this?" "Because if we're going to—" He gestured between them. "If there's going to be an us, you need to know what you're getting into. You need to understand that being with me means danger, means federal investigations and rival families and living under protection for the rest of your life." "I already understand that." "Do you?" "Because it's one thing to work for me, Anna. It's another thing entirely to—" He stopped, his jaw working. "To be more than that. To be someone they could use against me." Anna stood, moving closer to him. "And you think I don't know that? You think I haven't realized that the moment I cared about those children, I became a target? It's different if what? If we're together? If this becomes something real?" She was right in front of him now, close enough to see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes. "Marco, I dove into freezing water for your children. I made a promise to your wife and kept it even when I'd forgotten. I came back here after you threw me out because those kids needed me. What part of any of that makes you think I'd walk away now just because things might get dangerous?" "Anna, I'm not fragile. I'm not naive. I know what you are. I know what this life means." Her voice softened. "And I'm choosing it anyway. I'm choosing you. All of it. The good parts, and the terrifying parts, and everything in between." He stared at her, something breaking open in his expression. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." "Even though I was an ass? Even though I might be an ass again sometimes?" "Even though?" She smiled slightly. "As long as you promise to apologize when you are." "I can do that." They stood there for a moment, the air between them charged with possibility. Then DeLuca reached out, his hand cupping her face with devastating gentleness. "I haven't done this in a long time." "Done what?" "Cared about someone. Let myself want something just for me." His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. "It's terrifying." "I know. And you're still sure." "Still sure." He kissed her. It was soft, careful. The kiss of a man who'd forgotten how to trust his own heart and was learning again. Anna's hands found his chest, feeling his heartbeat racing beneath her palms, and kissed him back with all the certainty she'd been denying for weeks. When they finally pulled apart, DeLuca rested his forehead against hers. "Isabella would have liked you. I liked her too, even though I only knew her for an hour. She was special. She was. And she loved you enough to want you to be happy." Anna looked up at him. "So let's be happy, Marco. Let's give those kids the family they deserve. Let's build something real," he finished. "Something that lasts." "Yeah, that." 6 months later. Anna stood in the twins' playroom, watching as they practiced the presentation they'd been preparing for weeks. Sophia was explaining the life cycle of butterflies with the kind of intense seriousness only a 6-year-old could muster. Marco was building a volcano for his science project, his tongue stuck out in concentration. "And then the caterpillar makes a chrysalis, not a cocoon. That's for moths. And, Anna, are you listening?" "Every word," Anna assured her. "Papa said Mama liked butterflies," Sophia said suddenly. "Is that why I like them?" Anna smiled. Over the past months, DeLuca had slowly started sharing memories of Isabella with the twins. Photos had appeared on the walls. Stories were told at dinner. The children were learning about the mother they'd never met, and it was beautiful and heartbreaking all at once. Maybe, Anna said, or maybe you just have good taste. I think it's because of Mama, Sophia decided. Like how Marco likes the same books Papa likes. It's genetic. Genetic, Marco corrected absently, not looking up from his volcano. The door opened. DeLuca appeared, still wearing his suit from whatever meeting he'd been in, but his tie was loosened and his sleeves were rolled up. How are my favorite scientists? He asked. Papa. Both twins rushed to hug him. Anna watched from across the room, her heart doing that stupid flutter thing it did whenever she saw him with his children. Over the twins' heads, DeLuca's eyes found hers. There was heat there. Promise. Later, that look said. After the kids are in bed. They'd been taking it slow, dating, learning each other, building something real. They hadn't told the twins yet, hadn't made it official, but it was happening. Slow and steady and inevitable. And Anna had never been happier. Dinner in 20 minutes, she said. Go wash up. The twins groaned but obeyed, racing each other to the bathroom. DeLuca crossed to Anna, pulling her into his arms. Hey. Hey yourself. Good day? Perfect day. She looked up at him. You? Better now? He kissed her forehead. I have something to ask you later. After dinner, after the kids are asleep. Anna's heart skipped. Something good or something scary? Both, maybe. His arms tightened around her, but mostly good, I hope. Before she could ask what he meant, the twins came thundering back. Anna, Papa, we're clean. Can we eat now? Dinner was chaos as always. The twins talking over each other. Anna referencing a story Sophia had told earlier that made everyone laugh. DeLuca explaining why volcanic eruptions worked the way they did when Marco asked. A family, a real family, not perfect, but real. After dinner, after bedtime stories, after the twins were finally asleep, Anna found DeLuca in his study. He was standing by the window, holding something small in his hand. Marco, she said quietly, what's the scary good thing you wanted to ask? He turned. In his hand was a small velvet box. Anna's breath caught. It's too soon, he said quickly. I know it is. We've only been together 6 months, but I've learned that life is short and uncertain. And when you find something real, something that matters, you hold on to it. Marco, this isn't a proposal. Not yet. Not until you're ready. He opened the box. Inside was a simple, beautiful ring. This is a promise that I'm serious about this, about us, about building a future together. You, me, and the twins. Anna's eyes were burning. I want you to wear this, he continued, and know that when you're ready, when we're both ready, I'm going to ask you properly. I'm going to give you the whole romantic proposal. I'm going to... His voice cracked. I'm going to ask you to be my wife, to be their mother, to be my family. Yes, Anna whispered. Anna, you didn't let me. Yes, she said again louder. Yes to the promise. Yes to the future. Yes to... She laughed through tears. Yes to eventually saying yes when you actually ask. He pulled her into his arms, the ring box still clutched in his hand. You're sure? Even knowing everything this life means. I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything. You're remarkable, he said against her hair. You know that? I'm just a nurse who happened to be in the right place at the right time. You're the person who saved my children, who kept a promise to my wife, who loved us when we needed it most. He pulled back, slipping the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. With us. Forever. Anna looked at the ring, looked at him, looked at the photo on his desk, the one he'd finally put out, of Isabella holding the twins hours after they were born, smiling despite her exhaustion. Thank you, she whispered to the photo, to Isabella, for trusting me, for bringing me here. And somehow, impossibly, Anna felt like Isabella was smiling back, approving, grateful that her family was loved, happy that Marco had found someone to share his life with again. De Luca followed her gaze to the photo. "She would have loved you," he said softly. "I'm certain of it. I wish I could have known her longer. You knew her in the way that mattered most." He turned Anna to face him. "You honored her dying wish. You loved her children as your own. You gave me permission to move forward." His hand cupped her face. "She's not gone, Anna. She's in every smile on our children's faces, every time Marco asks a question with that intense curiosity, every time Sophia shows compassion to someone in need. Isabella lives through them, through us." Anna kissed him, tasting salt from both their tears. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you and Marco and Sophia and this imperfect, complicated, beautiful life we're building." "I love you too," he said, "so damn much." From upstairs came a small voice. "Anna, can you come here? I had a bad dream." They both smiled. "Duty calls," Anna said. "Our duty," De Luca corrected. Together. Hand in hand, they climbed the stairs to comfort a frightened child. Together. As a family. The family Isabella had dreamed of. The family Anna had saved. The family that had saved her right back. And on the nightstand in De Luca's bedroom, next to a photo of Isabella holding her newborn twins, sat a new photo. Anna and Marco and Sophia and De Luca at the park, laughing. The twins holding hands between the two adults, looking for all the world like what they were becoming. A family, real and imperfect and complete. The wedding was small, just family and close friends in the garden of the De Luca estate. Sophia and Marco served as flower girl and ring bearer, taking their duties with utmost seriousness. Antonio stood as De Luca's best man, tears streaming unashamedly down his face. And when the officiant asked if anyone objected, 7-year-old Sophia raised her hand. The crowd gasped. De Luca's heart stopped. Sophia stood. "I object," she said seriously, "to waiting any longer. Can they kiss now? Please?" Laughter erupted. Anna was crying and laughing at the same time. De Luca just shook his head, smiling. "You heard the lady," he told the officiant. "Let's get to the kissing part." "By the power vested in me." De Luca didn't wait. He pulled Anna into his arms and kissed her as their children cheered and the guests applauded. And somewhere, in whatever place existed beyond this life, Isabella De Luca smiled, because her family was whole again, different than she'd imagined, but whole, and so loved.